What's up, boys? It's Morsey back with a video. This time on a game called Goals that has just come out. I believe it's been in production for God knows how long, a couple years. But recently it actually got its full release, and I wanted to talk about it because basically, for those who don't know, I'm a massive FIFA nerd. I've been playing it since FIFA, I think 05. I had loads of games on it. I've had it through all the generations of consoles. I had it on PSP. So I'm quite, and I've played my fair share of Pro Evolution Soccer as well. So I would say that I'm somewhat of a seasoned vet. I mean, like I'm sure with most of you guys, as I've played FIFA throughout the years, my interest in it has slowly declined as the years have gone on. It gets, you go from playing 1,000 games to 900 to 800 to 700 to 600, and you just kind of get bogged down by what the game is. So the fact that a new game has come out that isn't PES, which, let's be honest, is just not good. It's just not good. Everything about it is just kind of awful. So the fact a new game's come out is actually quite nice. But yeah, I've played probably about 50 games on Goals at the moment, so I've built up kind of enough of a rapport. There's background and gameplay in the background. I've built up kind of enough of a catalogue to be able to kind of say, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And obviously there's going to be comparisons with FIFA to it, and it's obviously never going to be up to that standard this early on, because at the end of the day, FIFA's had so long at the top, to a point where every year it's pretty much the same game because they don't really need to adapt or improve. But yeah, I'll go through. I've set it into 3 subsections: pros, mixed, and cons. So it's a bit more kind of uniform, and you can kind of see where my head's at on each one. I'll kind of go into, some of them are quite self-explanatory, and some of them I'll go into a bit more detail to kind of see what you guys think compared to me, and if you share the same sentiment. So the first pro that I've got is that it's free to play. I mean, and I think it's 2 gigs to download. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You download the game, you don't like the game, you go, okay, no harm, no foul, you don't play the game. It's quite simple. For a free-to-play game, because you've got to take that value into concern, I think it's a really good game for a free-to-play game. I think, if you slap, a price on it, you kind of have to start to take that into consideration. But I think it's a really good game for a free-to-play game. I have no qualms about it whatsoever. The second pro is smooth gameplay. The gameplay is really, really nice and smooth. Like, when you think about, maybe it's because it hasn't got as many concurrent players as FIFA, or maybe it's a different thing. I mean, a lot of the dev talks that I saw, they focus very hard on, really smooth gameplay above all else, and a real kind of priority on gameplay and the servers and the ability to kind of get that where it needs to be above everything else. So I mean, the gameplay is smooth. It's a really, really good experience. You won't experience lag. The only time you will is if it's on your side, which in my opinion is completely valid. So that's another thing that I'd say that's kind of swings in the favor of Goals. The third is the leveling system and progression system. I really like it. I've always loved the concept of being able to, I think PES kind of does it. I've always loved the concept of having a player and building them from the ground up, not just having them ready-made and, grinding and playing. I think it adds to the experience of playing the game when you can constantly play it and feel like you're being rewarded for it, and you can grow with these players. I really, really like that. And the progression system, the XP system, you get XP. I don't know what it's called, but there's like some kind of thing that you can either buy packs with or level up your players with, and that's completely free. And then obviously you have the payment system as well, like FIFA coins or whatever the fuck they're called these days. But I really like the leveling system. I feel like it gives you get the player, straight from the bat, okay, they've got a potential of this to this, so then you can go, okay, I want to expend, if I have someone with a potential of, like, in the early game, like a 80 to 90, I'm obviously going to play that player, or try and level up that player as much as I can, because they're going to be good in the long haul. And the good thing is, if you guys don't know, throughout the game, you can basically play with whatever players you like, but your whole team essentially get the rewards from that, you know. So even the people on your substitute bench, even the people in your club will get the XP as well, and that stacks up. So if you pack someone who has 24 pace, 30 shooting, 12 physical, but they have a potential of 85 to 95 and they're 43 rated, then you go, usually in FIFA you go, well, they wouldn't have a potential rating, but if you pack that and saw those base card stats, you'd be like, nah, fuck that, man, straight in the bin. But for this, you can keep them in and around your club, and eventually they will develop and probably be absolute monsters. And the good thing as well is that the progression system also works on an age basis, so that's kind of, I don't think it's going to be a yearly release thing. I think they're just going to work on this specifically. So it's a yearly, it's not a yearly release thing. So that means that how it works is you get a player, and I think when you pack them, they age from the range of 16 to 24, and when you play your first game, they begin to age. So I think for every 7 real life days, they age 1 year in game. And I think if you stop playing for an amount of time, then they'll stop aging. So you can play it for a bit, and then you'll be like, oh, nah, I don't want to play this game anymore. And then when you come back, they'll have the same. But if you consistently play the game, then they will begin to age like on a year by year basis, which is quite nice. And then I think when they retire, you can do some kind of legend system, but I'm not too sure on that one, to be honest. But yeah, I really like that progression system. I always value being able to grow with the player. You know, when I play FIFA and stuff nowadays, I'll build someone like who's a cult hero to me. So for example, like Neil Morpie, you know, absolutely dog shit. But when they brought the evolutions out, I literally just played with Neil Morpie always in my team. Like, it was my goal there. So through the evolutions, I got to progress him, and I found great joy through that compared to just building a really super meta team. Next up, I've got passing fluidity. There is going to be kind of some contradictory things throughout this video, which is kind of, you know, it is, I say one thing and then I'll say another thing, but it's the intricacies of it. So passing fluidity, I feel like it's responsive, I feel like it's quick, but as you can see on the screen there, I do feel like it's a bit inconsistent, but I'll get to that. But I like the passing fluidity. I feel like it has a nice thing to it. There's no delay in it, so you can make up your mind and do it. And if you're quick enough, and the give and goes and stuff like that, I feel like it's really nice. I think I just hit my mic, sorry, I probably just blew your ears up. The next one I've got is fun to play. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. You know, it doesn't, you know, you kind of have this mentality that because it's not like a FIFA game and because it's like such a new game and stuff like that, you don't get upset. You know, you lose a game and yeah, some things can happen, but at the end of the day, you'll be like, oh, well, I can see where I went wrong there. So I find that fun. Like, I'm like, okay, well, if I lost, I know why I lost, but like, I'm also having a lot of fun with like playing this game. But it could just be the new kind of game effect, and we're obviously in the lower FIFA, we're in the dead zone. So next I've got players play to their stats. I mean, to an extent, I think they really do. I think when a player has 97 pace, it feels like they have 97 pace. When a player has well, that's pretty much it, to be honest. This game is very pace reliant, but when they have pace and they have shooting, you can feel that. Like when you do the player scenarios, if you guys have done that, you can feel the player scenarios. You can feel that the player that you're playing with has 95 pace, 90 shooting, 90 dribbling, whereas here you can feel that your player has 40 shooting and stuff like that. So I really like that as well. And then the final pro that I have before I move on to the mixed is that it's nostalgic. For those who have played FIFA throughout the years, this gives me a very FIFA 12, FIFA 13 vibe. Like, it's a very, you know, arcadey, quick, fast-paced game. Even, you know, things that we'll get onto, but like the over-the-top through balls. I'm currently rocking a 3-4-1-2 because I used to rock a 3-5-2 in FIFA 13. If any of that's triggered some nostalgia for any of you boys, with Malapa and Eddie Johnson and all that. I think that's FIFA 14, but if any of that's triggered your early thing, it reminds me when I play this game of when you used to kind of watch the early days of YouTube and you'd watch like KSI versus Road to Shore for Pink Slips and stuff like that. It gives me that kind of nostalgic vibe in terms of how the game plays, which, you know, I really appreciate. So those are all the pros. Quite a few, to be fair, for a game that's just released. Is so early on into its its infancy and has so much to improve. And from what it looks like, the devs look like they really kind of want to make this game improve and really succeed. So that's really good. The mixed I've got is the player licensing. So I think for some people it's a problem. Some people play like things like Ultimate Team. This kind of just has one game mode, which is in all purposes like a clone to Ultimate Team, right? And people want to play with their their heroes. They want to play with their Wayne Rooneys and their Thierry Henrys and their Messis and Ronaldos and things like that. So when they have a game that doesn't have zero licensing, they want to hear the Champions League music and all of these things. When there's no licensing, they go, I don't really like that, and they kind of write it off. And I think that's valid, because at the end of the day, if you're playing a football game, some people want to learn recognizable thing, and it's what we're used to, with PES and FIFA, it's what we're used to. So I kind of understand it. For me personally, the reason it's in the mixed is because I don't mind it. I like having cult heroes that are unique to me. I like this striker. I like Alanis. I like the fact that Alanis will be, a cult hero for me, a legend for me. I like Yang, my left back, and I think it's Duel, on the screen. Duholm, like my centre back. I like him, even though he's 33 and he's probably retiring pretty soon. You can go through your players and you can build a kind of a connection to him, to be like, yes, Alanis, and no one else has that. And it's this guy's got Teti, and this guy's got this, and he probably builds a connection with that. And you have your favourites, and I've got KSI as well. That's a pretty funny thing as well. But there's something about screaming KSI when you score with him that just has a just has a certain I don't know, a certain charm to it. You got KSI and they've got this originals thing. Imagine KSI to do a leap heading in the box. It'd be crazy. But yeah, that's the first mix. Second mix is the arcade feel. So for some people, they want a bit of a game more grounded in, and that's kind of where FIFA goes in, and that's where PES try and go in. They go in a game that feels more authentic to play, and I think that slows down the pace of the game. But some people really like that. You have kind of I understand the reason it's in the mix is because I understand it to a certain extent, right? So for things that'll go in the cons, but I'll do it here as well, is like the janky animations, right? So I'm sure you've seen in this video, and you've seen in your own gameplay when you're playing it, when the keeper saves the ball, he does this jumping animation. When he makes the saves, it doesn't seem authentic, to a point where in your head you kind of question and say, okay, but how did he make that save? Does that seem logical? Same with like the headers. When the headers are coming through, it feels like they jump like the LeBron James, like prime LeBron, to slam dunk on your player, but sometimes it feels like they don't. The headers don't feel like, in FIFA, when you're walking up and you're contested for a header, you can feel yourself and you can feel the ability for you to walk around the front of the player and have that kind of freedom to look at that header there, and then look at the save. Like that takes your immersion out of the game to an extent, and it makes you remember that you are playing a game, which obviously at the end of the day you are, but you would like a bit more of a grounded animation to feel a bit more, connected to the game. I feel like it pulls you out when you're playing. You're like, that was weird. And then when it's going through and stuff like that, when they're, you're over the top of the through ball, and they jump up like 7 foot in the air and they head it back to the keeper, you go, oh, that was weird. That shouldn't logically be a thing. So I think that kind of RNG, look, I try and chip him with the header there, doesn't work. I think that's why I've put it in the mix. I think I like the arcade feel, like I said in the pros, like it's very reminiscent of FIFA 12-13, but some of the animations are a bit too janky to kind of gloss over, and I don't like it. Like, it feels unnatural, and even though we are playing a football game, I feel like it lends itself to kind of that RNG aspect where you're not sure what kind of the conditions are, if that makes sense. So like when you're headering the ball, you're not sure what the conditions are, because sometimes they'll jump up for the header 3 foot, but then you'll be in the exact same scenario and they won't, and you kind of like, okay, that doesn't really make sense. It just seems like they pluck it out from nowhere, and then sometimes they don't. So yeah, that's why I kind of put it in the mix, because it's not like a game breaking thing, but it does have certain kind of things that pull you out and things that seem like it's a bit janky and random, and it cheapens the experience of the game because of that animation. You know, if they refine the animations a bit, then it makes the game feel more refined and more kind of quality, which is what will pip it up against games like FIFA. And then the third I've got is the finishing. So the reason it's in the mix is because I quite like the finishing. I think that it has quite a few different things. You've got your low drivens in different things. I think you can do a low driven in every shot type: power shot, finesse shot, chip shot even, apparently. I don't know how a low shot chip shot works, but apparently you can do that. But you know, and when you're through one-on-one, a lot of the time it feels like you're going to score, I feel like, and I really like that. I like the fact that you're rewarded for getting through one-on-one. Like, it feels like there is a reward. However, sometimes it feels inconsistent in terms of the shot placement. You know, when I shoot the ball, I shoot it and I rotate my analog stick in a sense that I'm trying to push it into the furthest corner. You know, I'm trying to get it there. Like, in a way, precision shooting on FIFA, I feel like if you get it right and you master it, it's a kind of skill ceiling, and once you've got it right, you can kind of fucking start going crazy, right? But on this, I feel like you get through, you have your shot thing, but sometimes you'll get through 3 or 4 times in a game and the same shot that you do all the time doesn't work. And to me, that inconsistency lies itself to a point where even though you score and when you're away from the defender one-on-one, it feels like more times than not you're going to finish the ball. Sometimes you do feel yourself like trying to finish the ball and it going down the middle, or, you know, especially the chip shots. The chip shots are absolutely wank in this game unless you time it perfectly. You know, even if they've pulled the keeper out and rushed the keeper out, which is, you know, if you don't react to that keeper running out, they basically fucking swipe you. It's crazy. But I just feel like it, you know, the finishing doesn't, it feels more rewarding than FIFA when you score, because you're like, I deserve that. But at the same time, I feel like they could slightly tweak it to a point where it rewards you for being the person who takes the initiative to more like put it in the corner with your analog stick and aim it. And next we're on to the cons. So these, I've got a couple here. The first one is a kickoff glitch. I don't know about you guys, but much like FIFA, much like other football games, it seems like there's just this kind of center around kickoff glitches that people just can't get past. Like, your players, because it's kind of a restart from the game and it's a refresh, your players aren't, they're just static, they're not moving, so people can very easily do it. In fact, I don't know if it's in this video, but I actually tried, because the game's like FIFA 12, 13, I actually tried the KSI kickoff glitch. For those of you who know what it is, absolutely oppressive piece of shit in the early FIFAs, but a very, very effective meta, and this worked. You know, I don't, the thing is, I'm playing this game for fun. Like, I'm not playing it to like really get up there, so at the end of the day, like, I'm not abusing it. I tried it once, or I think I tried it a couple of times in like one game where I was absolutely, you know, I was doming the guy, but he was kind of getting those kickoff glitches that I was saying. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to try it. So I tried it over kind of a small test period, and I was like, fucking hell, this is insane. Like, it's actually working. I don't want to give you guys the cheese, but it just feels like your players are so static that they don't respond to it. You know, you can go a whole 45 minutes, you know, if you have kickoff, and you can absolutely smack the guy, and then as soon as he gets the kickoff for the second half, it goes down. Like, it just apparently resets and your players are just static. So I don't like that. The second one I've got in the cons is the over the top through balls, and to an extent essentially the through balls, right? I think this game, in terms of the passing, has good areas and bad areas, and what I mean by that is, when you are doing the through balls, there's no real consistency to it. Like, it feels like sometimes you can tap Y or triangle. I'm playing on PlayStation, so I don't know why I said Y, but you can tap it and it will fucking absolutely launch the most incisive cutting pass with your 42 passing like player that you've ever seen in your life. You'll play it and you'll be like, how the fuck did that go through, and how can I do that again? And then you'll have a really nice through ball opportunity, and you'll use your initiative to angle your controller in a sense where you're trying to, let's say you're trying to cut the defender, right? You're trying to cut it through the two defenders, or you're trying to kind of curve it around with your analog stick, but it will just go straight to the centre back. Like it won't have any deviation or stuff. You can have a 97 passing. I think I have like a 89 passing. This Valet, what is it? 86 passing. The pass there, look, that's the pass I'm talking about. That's a really nice pass, an incisive cut through pass, but it's an inconsistent. Like, the guys dragged his player out, but I feel like sometimes when you press Y, it'll just go straight to him, even though they've made the mistake. Like, it doesn't make sense, you know? And that kind of moves me on to the same thing for the next con, which is the passing direction. Sometimes it feels like you can tap the button. You have something in your mind. You obviously, you know, for most of us, we're planning out what we're doing before we do it, and we're like, okay, I want to make that triangle, right? And you get it in your head, and then you press it, you put in an accurate amount, there's one person around you for the triangle, and then maybe someone up on the wing. You'll tap it and angle it, and then it will go fucking absolutely at the speed of light to the wing, and you're like, what the fuck? And then other times you'll full power that bitch. Oh, I want to fucking thread that bitch all the way down. And then it'll be like, nah, you're going straight to this person. Which coincidentally, look, so there, I passed it to that guy. That's not where I passed it. I aimed it upwards to my other centre-back, and they passed it down. And now, look, I'm in the position, concede the goal. And here I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I've literally passed that upwards. He's deliberately passed it down, and then I've conceded. And they do punish you for making those kind of mistakes, if they are mistakes, but sometimes it does feel like it's a bit unjust. Like, you'll pass it somewhere, aim it somewhere with your analog stick, and they'll just put it somewhere completely else, and you're like, well, okay, but if you're putting the gameplay first, these things need to be ironed, right? They need to be iron fucking clean. And like I said, it's still early stages, and I don't doubt that they will refine this bitch into the ground, which is absolutely beautiful, but for now, that is a con. Like, the passing direction is a con. It feels like, you know, sometimes people will make passes, and, you know, whilst you can't see who they're guiding and directing and stuff when they're off the ball, when they're on the ball, you can see the power that they put in. Like, when they go to pass the ball, if you look at the bottom, you can actually, like, where the player names are, you can actually see the power bar of your opposition when you do it. So out the corner of my eye, I can see the power bar. And when they're tapping it and they're playing like a perfect triangle through ball to someone beyond the player that they evidently are trying to find, you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, it almost feels unjust, and it feels inconsistent and RNG, and that needs to be taken out, right? And then the next thing I've got for the cons kind of goes back into the kickoff glitch. The buzzer beat of 45th and 90th minute, there feels like there's a little shift. Like, it feels like your players are almost starting to slow or starting to kind of stop. It almost feels like there's kind of like an advantage in it. I don't think there is. I think it's just something maybe in my own head or maybe there, but I do notice in the 45th and 90th minute, when that buzzer beat is going down, your players just seem to disperse that little bit more, right? They seem to be, you know, almost like, because it's the buzzer beater, you know, there's a bit more, you know, randomness and chaos to it, because they want you to have that like special moment, right? Which is all well and good, unless you're absolutely waffle stomping someone and then all of a sudden they score off of it. I don't know if that's just me. Let me know in the comments, because that's something that I've noticed, and some of my boys that I've been playing in Discord with have noticed as well. You know, they'll be in control of the game, then the 45th and 90th minute come along. Well, 45th more, because the 90th minute doesn't really matter, but the 45th minute, you know, it comes, and then all of a sudden your players just start getting a little bit more lazy, a little bit more static compared to how well it's been up to that point. I will say, actually, I missed out a pro. The time wasting slider, I think, needs to be quicker, but that is definitely a pro. I like the time wasting slider, and the like full-time, half-time kind of 9-second thing. You can't just keep it in the corner, you have to play, right? I like that buzzer beater aspect, but I think it needs a little bit of a tune, because the players feel a little bit static when they're doing it. And then the last one for the cons is the janky animations. I mean, I've already covered it. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but the janky animations, they just feel a bit gross. Like, they just don't feel where they need to be, and that's fair enough, you know. I'm sure as time goes on, they release more patches and stuff like that, it will start to feel good. But overall, would I recommend playing goals? Yeah, absolutely. It's a quick game, you know. I think it's 4 minute halves as well. It's fast paced. You feel like you and the other person, for now, because maybe it's new and people haven't learned the meta, you feel like you are constantly end to end, and I really appreciate that in a football game. Like, it feels really nice. Like, it feels like something that, you know, when you lose, for the most part, you realise why you've lost. You know, if they have a better team, you realise why you lost. At the end of the day, if you're Macclesfield and you're playing Man City, you're going to get smacked unless you're absolutely exceptional on the day. I think that's absolutely fair enough. Does introduce that pay to win element, but it is what it is. They got to make their bread somehow. You know, they spent a lot of time on this game, probably a lot of resources. They got to make their bread somehow, which, you know, is free to play. You can't complain. Don't want to spend money, don't spend money, but people will spend money and people will get good teams. You know, that's how real life works too. Look at Pep. Less I say. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of, I just wanted to kind of yap about this. I think I've been yapping for like 25 minutes once I get started. A bitch don't stop, you know. But I hope you enjoy this. I hope this, you know, I'd be interested to know in the comments. I do tend to ramble a bit, so maybe I said something contradictory or something that you didn't quite agree with, and I'd be interested to know genuinely what your thoughts are on the game, how you find it, you know, what kind of your, you know, opinions are, and what you think the game needs to be better. And, you know, more interestingly as well, do you ever think that it could be a FIFA competitor, like, or just an off game where you come back to it when FIFA's in its kind of low zone? Because even then, I'm sure goals would take that if that's the case, you know, for the early things. But yeah, anyway, let me know, guys. I've been Morsey. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Give me some other ideas on videos you'd want to see. You know, anything football related, I'm down to do. But yeah, anyway, love you guys. Wash your ass, and yeah, in a bit.